Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Serena. Today we are going to be doing something very near and dear to my heart, and that is crafting fall stuff. We are going to be making an adorable little plushy fall pumpkin with a real pumpkin stem. So without further ado, let's just jump into the tutorial and I will show you what you need to make it and how to make it. It's super simple. It does not require a sewing machine. It requires very minimal sewing skills. So if you're not very gifted with the needle and thread, you can kind of fudge your way through this. Okay, so what you're gonna need to get started are a few simple items. Obviously, you will be using fabric, whatever fabric you choose. This isn't real velvet. This is a stretchy, I don't know what kind of fabric this is, but it's like an imitation velvet. I'll find out what it is and I'll link it down below. But this one's very stretchy, which comes in handy when you're overstuffing your pumpkin and you want that kind of crinkly fairy tale pumpkin look. If you ever go to the grocery store and you see those white pumpkins and like the dusky teal colored ones, they have that crinkly, wrinkly, kind of flat, pancakey look, and I feel like the stretchy material fabric is really good to create that look. So I got this online, I think at Hancock Fabrics. I got this a while ago, so I will see if I can link to it or another similar one. Anyway, I chose this fabric. That's what we're gonna use. We're gonna use stuffing. This is polyfill. This is from Hobby Lobby. It's a couple bucks a bag. Yeah, $3.99. You are going to need, obviously, some thread. I chose white because that's the color of my pumpkin. You're gonna need needles, scissors, and most importantly, pumpkin stems. So these are real pumpkin stems. I know it's kind of random, like who has pumpkin stems in their house? This girl, I do. So these are pumpkin stems, they're real pumpkin stems. I told my friends, my family, my neighbors last year to save me pumpkin stems. I'm not kidding. They know I'm crazy, they understand me, my people get me. So these shrink after a while. I know it's kind of weird, but you basically just dry them in the sun. So eventually, when you leave these out in the sun, they get like kind of petrified. They're very delicate and brittle. Also, if you go to a pumpkin patch, depending upon the pumpkin patch, there will be stems all over the ground in the pumpkin patch. So if you just go to the owner and you just ask them, hey, do you mind if I pick up some of your pumpkin stems? They'll probably think you're crazy, but hey, free pumpkin stems. Anyways, that's what you will need. Let's get started. What you're gonna do first is you are going to take your fabric. Mine's all scraggly from cutting so many pumpkins out of it. But you're gonna cut a circle. Literally, that's the simplest thing in the world. You're just gonna cut a circle. I'm lazy and I don't take anything to measure it. If I was to get technical with this tutorial, I'd say take a pizza cookie sheet, not a cookie sheet, a pizza sheet. A pizza pan? I don't know what it is, a pizza pan, and like trace over it, but I don't even do that. I literally just cut in a jaggedy circle because like I said, the opening for the pumpkin is not going to show. It's gonna be sewn in and like scrunched. I can't hold this without going like this. Okay, but yeah, it's gonna be scrunched, so you're really not going to need a perfect edge. It can be as jaggedy as you want it to be. No one will know, but me and you. So you are going to cut a circle in your fabric. You're just gonna lay it out flat, go to town, cut yourself a circle. We're gonna make a smaller one today. We're not gonna make a giant one. To make one of these, you need like so much fabric. So we're just gonna make like a smaller one, like one of the little baby ones in the background here. Let's get started. I'm literally just being the jankiest person ever and just starting and cutting a hole in my fabric. Just make sure that you have like something sort of weighing your fabric down. So when you're done cutting, you are going to have a little jaggedy, in my case, jaggedy piece of fabric. And what you're going to do is you are going to stitch it very loosely, and that way you can pull it through. So in order to do that, you are going to take a very, very, very long piece of thread with a needle on it, and you are going to stitch around the pumpkin, and I'll show you. But I would say probably the most annoying part about it is that the thread is really long, so if you're not careful, you can kind of get knots, which will complicate it throughout the process. Okay, so you are going to thread your needle and have a very long piece of thread. I tied a knot at the very end of mine. So you're just gonna start from any part of your circle, and you are just gonna make sure that you put a good end knot into your fabric. That way when you're going and you're pulling, because you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna pull tight, you're gonna sew around your entire perimeter of your little circle, and then you're gonna pull it really tight. So you just wanna make sure that this is not gonna budge throughout your process. So what you're gonna do is you are going to slowly go in and out, in and out. And you're gonna be making big, like inch or inch and a half spaces in between, so that if you were to pull it tight, it's gonna scrunch like that. And I'll show you as I'm going through, but it's really important, don't sew closely together, and make sure that you're not sewing it directly, like right at the edge. You're gonna sew a couple centimeters inward, so that, again, it's not going to the very end and then ripping when you're pulling it tight, because you're gonna be pretty rough with this. So like I said, probably down to about there. Simple science, it's not very complicated, and make sure that your thread is not getting tangled on the way, because if your thread gets tangled, it's not really gonna work for you when you're trying to scrunch everything together. So in and out, scrunch, in, out, scrunch. So keep sewing until you get to your other end of the pumpkin where you initially tied off your knot, which I am almost there. So you're gonna leave the needle and thread in the pumpkin as you're stuffing it and everything, and you're not tying it off until the very end. So what you're gonna end up with is this guy, little deflated pouch. Your needle, like I said, needle and thread is still attached. You're not tying anything off at this point. If you scrunch it really hard, you'll see like that the opening closes. So, but what you're gonna do before you do that, you're gonna stuff it. So I'm gonna delicately reopen my opening just a little bit, just slightly. Like I said, with the needle and thread still attached, you're gonna have a really long piece of thread. That's gonna help you tie it off. I'm gonna open up my little hole here, and I'm just going to take little pieces of the polyfill and start to stuff it in there. Now, it's good to start off small and build your way up, because I like to stuff the crud out of these pumpkins. probably stuffed to the brim. I like to stuff my pumpkin to the brim. Like I said, be careful not to snap your thread. Okay, so at this point, you're gonna pull your thread. When you're ready to close it off, you're gonna pull it as tight as you can and pinch it. So you're going to pinch the thread so that you get it as tight as possible. And then you're gonna sew into the pumpkin and sew a knot. But you're gonna like pinch it all the while because you want it to stay as tight as possible. So now it's gonna stand on its own like that. That was just one knot. You're gonna reinforce the knot a couple times, and then as I'm in there, I'll kind of gather some of the thread along with like a little bit of the fabric to make a little bit more of scrunch and just tie it off. So make yourself a couple knots, tie the thread in a little knot, sew it off. And then I will go through and I will sew, kind of sew the hole closed a little bit, because you want your stem to be able to fit in here and you don't want any of the stuffing or the thread or the scrunching to show. You want it to be a seamless closure like this guy. All right, so see how we've got our little closure here? That is what you want. Then what I will do is I will cut my thread, cut those off, and set that aside. Okay, so the other thing about the pumpkins, once you've gotten to this point, you have a choice. So I call it donutting the pumpkin. This one is not donutted. So by that I mean the bottom is smooth and there's nothing on the bottom. There's no stitching, and so it's more malleable, I guess. And if you're really like overstuffing your pumpkin, the donut is like, I guess, not necessary. So you're gonna take another piece of thread, and so what we're gonna do is tie off your thread. So in order to donut the pumpkin, literally all you're doing is sticking your needle in once, and then you're squishing until you find the needle coming out the other side. And be careful, don't poke yourself. So you're gonna see the needle coming out the other side, you're gonna grab it, and you're gonna get it in there. I stuck originally when I stuck the needle in, I stuck it through the fabric so that it's holding a little bit of the fabric. And then you're gonna stick it back in as close as possible, but not immediately through the hole that you had come through. And then you're gonna pull it. So see how when I pull it, it starts to come through like that? You're gonna do that a couple times through the top fabric and then through the bottom. Just find your little original thread through the bottom. So just do that a couple times to reinforce the little donut. And like I said, it will pull the center of the pumpkin down and make it so much easier to glue your stem on. But see, there's your little donut. So I think mine's pretty good. I'm gonna tie mine off. Now, you can see that that's created more of a divot, definitely more of a pancake look in your pumpkin, and you got your donut. So from here, I'm going to glue my stem on. So we've chosen this stem. Glue the center part of the stem down, like first, like a big giant glop of glue on there. Put it on your pumpkin, hold it down for a good amount of time. And then when that really feels like it's secure on there, go in and like do your little fine detail work and get the little edges. And then figure out like where you want your stem. I think I'm gonna place mine right here. And then you're just gonna hold it forever. And like I said, I just wanna make sure that there's not a bunch of gloopy glue. And you just want to make sure that it really gets in there. You just want to hold it for a little while. So you're gonna just glue your little edges down like so, and just hold your fabric up and press it down. All right guys, that concludes this tutorial. Here is the finished product. Pretty stinking cute, right? If you are interested in more fall videos or just more videos in general, please subscribe to my channel because I will be posting more very soon. And if you're excited for fall, give this video a thumbs up. I'm excited for fall. Anyways, see you guys later.